Hello, I'm Andrea Green. I'm here in Hong Kong from Los Angeles, and I work for an organization called Products of Change, which I will share a little bit more about Products of Change later on. But I'm here today to talk to you about sustainability and what that means to all of us within the licensing industry, specific to us. So we're here today to talk about building a better, more sustainable licensing industry for tomorrow, today. So what is sustainability? There's so much language to understand. We've heard the terms green and carbon and DEI and ESG, carbon positive, scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, SDGs, COP28, science-based targets. They all make up what is called sustainability. So it may be something different to each and every one of us. Our understanding of sustainability may be different to each and every one of us, but we'll try to look at, again, how does it connect to us in the licensing business? So first and foremost, the term sustainability is a business term. It comes from the concept of people, planet, and profit, where they intersect. So when you talk about licensing, yes, we make stuff, we make the products, and that's okay. It's also okay for us to make a profit, but how do we do it while respecting people and the planet? So the big picture, depletion of natural resources, pollution, and climate change are just a few examples of unsustainable practices and their far-reaching consequences that affect not only the environment, but also the fabric of our economic and social systems. The urgency for business to take action cannot be overstated. The longer we wait, the more difficult and expensive it'll be to mitigate their effects. Consumers, investors, and governments are increasingly demanding their businesses take responsibility for their impact on the planet. It's estimated that we're going to require 50% more energy, 40% more water, and 35% more food by 2030 to accommodate our growing population. And this in itself is a huge task. We look at climate change and what it's doing from a severe weather pattern. Right now, there are floods in southern China, but we look at whether it's a dust storm, sub-Saharan dust is covering Athens, Greece today. I saw that on the news. Whether it's no snow where we're supposed to have snow for vacations, or fires, earthquakes, floods, extreme heat, all of those things are affecting us. Doesn't matter where we live, what part of the world we live. This is because the environmental impact of making, shipping, and disposing of physical products is significant. The world produces 2.3 billion tons of waste each year. Waste is responsible for 20% of global methane emissions. Consumers buy 60% more clothing and keep them for half as long as they did in 2020. 80% of all toys end their life cycles in landfills, incinerators, or the ocean. Governments, press, and consumers are all watching. Whether it's legislation, whether it's coming from press or consumers, we see things every day, whether it's the EU strikes to deal on world first carbon border tariff, US is now limiting toxic forever chemicals in drinking water. Climate change will make you poorer, according to new reports. All of this is something we're seeing firsthand. There are solutions, and we can be part of them. Consumers want more sustainable products. There's an increase on who's looking for sustainable goods, what companies and countries are offering purchases of sustainable goods. 80% would pay up to 5% more for sustainably produced goods. And 60% of Europeans agree companies are responsible for protecting the environment. And we'll come back to that, this falling on companies, which we all represent. Gen Z, the 12 to 27-year-olds, and millennials, 28 to 43-year-olds, are really searching for the root of behavior. And Gen Z cares more about sustainability buying decisions than brand names. 90% of Gen Z members report making changes in their daily lives to live more sustainably. 37% of Gen Z in the US claim that addressing climate change was their top personal concern. And 68% of sustainable apparel revenue in the US came from Gen Z and millennials put together. So we need to listen to those generations. When we look at the circular economy, which may be a new concept to some of you, it's really the whole cycle from manufacturing to consuming to recycling and reuse. So how do we look at that wheel, and how do we keep materials in circulation instead of make, take, waste? So to support circularity, we can look at better material and design choices. 80% of an item's carbon footprint is based on the materials that are chosen. So from all the way from design up. How do we retain the value of the materials used? And how do we help the consumer continue the journey? So I'm going to share just a couple campaigns that have been done around the world, and just share some of the things that other licensors and licensing entities are doing in the industry. This was Peppa Pig's Ocean campaign. This was done with the Cleaner Seas Project and Asda, who is one of the largest UK retailers. So Peppa, who you all know Peppa loves playing outside with her friends and being surrounded by nature. She's always finding out new ways to look after her planet and be more eco-conscious. In Sea Treasure, Peppa helps Granny and Grandpa Pig clean up plastic bottles from the beach. So this goes to themes of sustainability, nature, healthy living, and habits. When it comes to sustainability, we should see the world through the eyes of a preschooler. So because this is the language that Peppa speaks, this campaign was also through that same lens. So position Peppa in a soft and subtle way where appropriate. Subtle reference to the environment and the world around us in a positive way, soft messaging and tone of voice relevant to preschool, and not explicitly talk about sustainability. So this was the line that was presented at Asda. It is so cute, and this was all on environmentally friendly materials, eco cotton, organic cotton, and so on. Really, really cute. Had a lot of press from this campaign, really great coverage across the UK. They got out celebrities and so on, so great social reach, great press, total campaign reach, and it was one of the fastest selling ranges at Asda. It was the same price as any other cotton product or any other range of products, so no more expensive, more environmentally friendly, and had great success. Sustainability at Formula E. For those of you who don't know Formula E, it is a world championship range of races around the electrified race car, accelerating sustainable human progress through the power of electric racing. Well, here is an endemic sustainable item. It's an electric race car, and what they're doing around sustainability. They've aligned it to 4 pillars: environmental excellence, leadership and innovation, social progress, and creating value through values. Some of the brand partnerships we've seen over the last year or so, whether it's Smiley or the Smurfs, who have partnered with the UN on their Sustainable Development Goals. Again, Peppa we see in planting a forest, or Corn helping the planet, or Coldplay doing a deal with DHL. Many retailers are active in this area, whether it's through buybacks, free repairs, circular products, or pre-loved lines. I reference this eBay Love Island slide to say that Love Island is a UK reality show that was done a few years back, and they clothed or costumed, outfitted the cast entirely from eBay and secondhand clothing. This was a huge positive push to the messaging of secondhand is okay, and in fact desired, and it really upped the secondhand uptake in the UK, which is great to see. Some of the global retailers doing things: Asda with its refill stores, IKEA with its buyback schemes. They'll take your product back and let you buy something else. Subscription products, whether it's toilet paper that you can subscribe to versus typically buying it on the shelf. H&M is working a lot with circular fabrics. Selfridges in the UK is looking to half of their transactions to be resale, repair, rental, or refill by 2030. Asda is working with Upcycle Labs on circular products. So just some of the things retail is doing. In the US, we see Clean at Sephora. That's a beauty supplier or beauty product supplier, and they're doing more to do clean products. Walmart reducing or avoiding supply chain emissions by 1 billion metric tons by 2030. Crocs has a take-back program. That should be exciting to a lot of Crocs buyers. Target, Hasbro with TerraCycle, which is a free toy recycling program. And I suppose the granddaddy of them all is Patagonia, who really started all of this. And they, with their circular economy materials take back and repair programs. This is the Kmart in Australia, and this is how they are combining our People and Planet campaign. Again, coming back to that people, planet, profit. So they're committed to low prices and helping create positive change with their 5-step program. In the UK, this is Tesco's packaging guidelines. So to talk about packaging. So their head of sustainability for packaging has shared this quite widely with the industry. Every year they update this to what materials will be allowed if you want to sell to Tesco. So green is okay, amber are those that are getting iffy. Once something better is created, you won't be able to use those things, and anything in red, they will not allow. And you can look at some of the simple things, plastic straws and cutlery, glitter, paperboard laminated on both sides. Those are some things that were very common, and now you cannot have those if you're going to sell into Tesco. So these are guidelines that are there to help us. Transparency. There's something in the UK called the Digital Product Passport, and we are working with a company called Fabicus. And this is a product passport that you scan to a QR code based on a garment, and this is Nobody's Child, who was the test product range. And it will tell you where the garment is made, where the cotton is from, where the materials are from, similar to what we've known for years on food packaging. This will be the same idea, so you have a full picture of where that item you want to buy is sourced and made and what its environmental footprint is. So this is super exciting technology and around transparency. So I want to share a little bit about products of change. So we are driving sustainable change together. So first we're going to have a little bit of a video just to give you an idea of who we are.
Products of Change has a plan and a commitment to transition the brand and licensing industry to a more sustainable future. The big question is, how do we make a $290 billion industry more sustainable? Through conversation, collaboration, and confidence, in exploring new ways of working together. We are working with you. Yes, every single one of you. Brand owners, licensed manufacturers, retailers, designers, buyers, technicians, agencies, marketeers. Upgrading how we operate to reduce our collective impact through sustainably sourced materials, reducing our carbon emissions, eliminating waste, regeneration, and building circular principles into our business models to deliver collective impact initiatives, practical guidelines, a new legal framework for the industry, educational modules to help your business, and exploring future systems to support our transition. Products of Change has a plan. Come and join us. Commit to a sustainable future.
So who are we at Products of Change? At our core, we're a not-for-profit membership in collectively building the infrastructure and providing the resources to help the industry reduce its environmental impact. Meanwhile, our media arm provides industry education and connection through newsletters, magazines, and conferences. And our Products of Change Advisors division is here to provide help and direct guidance to get you on your journey of sustainable development. We collaborate through active working groups. We have our members make up our active working groups to build methodologies to guide the industry. We also bring in guest experts to help grow our knowledge base. Our key focus working groups for 2024 are carbon, paper, fashion, packaging, and legal. Alongside these working groups, we also have themed meetings to bring educational opportunities to the community, covering toys and games, publishing, gaming, gift and home, marketing, fashion, carbon, and live events. So when we look at the licensed consumer product roadmap to compliance, we go back 25 years. I've been in licensing 30 years now, maybe a little longer. And 25 years ago, I was working for a licensee. And suddenly there were some big news events around factory compliance or the lack thereof. And the licensing community got together and created social factory compliance. And at the time, it was very fractured. You'd have one licensor asking for one thing and another licensor asking for another. And it took years for us to consolidate to the best and strongest social and factory compliance mechanisms or methodologies. So we know we can do it because we've implemented these kinds of changes along social factory, and now we're looking to do the same thing along the environmental. So the Paris Climate Accord happened a while back. We're now halfway to 2030, and that's limiting the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. We're still a long way to fulfill that. So between 2023 and now, it's about preparation and commitment to build out the frameworks that will help our industry. 2024 to 2030, it's really where licensors begin tracking carbon, and legislation for Scope 3 takes effect in California and Europe, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then full disclosure required, banned substances in Europe, for instance, will take us through that timeline to transition. So in POC, we created, along with a lot of licensors and a lot of people in the industry, a framework. And this is what it looks like. It is something you can print out. You don't have to print it out. It is free to the industry, but it gives you a working framework for how to transition. Not everyone has the time or the energy to understand every little step of every category of what we can do to be more sustainable. We've done it for you, and thus you can download this and learn from it and look at each step along the way. So for instance, the timeline, we started, Products of Change is about almost 5 years old, but we started in 2023 with this operational transformation, getting a baseline review, educating yourself, starting to work towards packaging transitioning and sample reductions. Ideally by 2025, which is very soon, our packaging will become more sustainable. And if you're a licensor, or if you're a licensee, you can push your licensors. How do we limit those samples that are being shipped around the world to licensors to the bare minimum? Then starting in 2025 on up, it's about product transition. So if we've done our packaging, how do we go to products? How do we start this new phase of contractual language? How do we start building that into what we're doing? And then how do we talk about our waste and our sample reduction? And then towards 2030, it's about impact reporting, visibility through approval systems, really becoming the new normal, working with circular business models. So in the framework that we're talking about, we have different categories. So for instance, this is the waste reduction category, and you can see different ones. They are in sections. So you can see that we have short, mid, and long term. Each one of these offers you the ability to, again, look at where you are and what you can do. If you're starting at the short term, start there. If you're already ready to go to your mid and long term, jump to that. But each one of these categories, whether it's waste, packaging, product, facility management, supply chain, contractual agreements, there's a section in all of those. Also for 2024, Products of Change will be coming out with a materials guide, a packaging guide, a waste guide, and a green claims guide. So all of these will be helpful to the industry, our own industry. So I talked a bit back about scopes. So when we look at the scope 1, 2, and 3 of your carbon emissions, something called the Greenhouse Gas Protocol handles the corporate accounting and reporting standards for these scopes. So scope 1 is your own direct emissions. That's your facilities, your company vehicles. Okay, that's easy enough. Scope 2 are your indirect, where do you buy your power? Where do you purchase your power? It's scope 3 that is the tricky bit. And anywhere from 80 to 95% of licensing's carbon footprint is in scope 3. So if you think about licensors, licensees, our scope 3 is our licensee involvement. So as licensors start to set goals for to report their carbon footprint, they will be coming to the licensees for the reporting. That is a big change in the way we do business, but this is coming. And for all of you who are licensees of big global licensors, this is going to be coming within the next few years, and we are working to try to make this easier on all of you, all of us within the industry, to make it clear and understandable. So within Products of Change, we're building that carbon reporting methodology. Global licensors have these carbon reporting goals for scope 3. Currently, there's no clear way to account for carbon within the licensing industry. So a consortium of global licensors, along with a carbon services consultancy led by Products of Change, will build our own methodology and submit it to the Greenhouse Gas Protocol for approval. We will then share it industry-wide. And this is really exciting because we get to take control of how we do business and how we can change the way we do business and how we can report those changes. So in summary, we have new risks to manage, we have new opportunities we can take advantage of, and our industry and you have Products of Change to help you navigate all of it. Join us in our mission to create a better industry for tomorrow, today. In closing, please everyone sign up for your Products of Change newsletter. Download the framework which we talked about, that's free. Become a member if you're interested. Ask questions and join us. Special thanks to the Hong Kong Trade Development Council and Licensing International. I thank you for letting me share what I can about this topic, and I hope we work together soon together. 谢谢. Thank you.